Thank you for joining us this evening. We're happy to have you here. We ask that you please silence your cell phones. At this time, I'd like to invite Pastor Percy Harper to come forward from the St. Mark Baptist Church, and he will lead us in the invocation. If you please all stand.
Let us bow. Lord God, we bow before you to humbly say thank you for this another day that you've granted, and even now this privilege of prayer and an opportunity to pause to reverently recognize your goodness, your mercy, your love, your grace towards your children. Now our humble request is this, that your Spirit would preside and prevail, grant wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that leaders and constituents might join together in unity in a common concern for all citizens. So now be the power and source of blessing in this meeting, and then we'll thank you for the righteous results that you bring. For it's all in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, we ask it. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Harper. At this time now, I'd like to invite Shannon and Rachel from North Vermont Elementary School to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please take off hats, and we will begin in the pledge. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Harper, and thank you, Shannon and Rachel. I'd like the city attorney to please report out closed session results.
Yes, Mayor. All of these items are listed under existing litigation. The first matter, which is Bank of America versus McGee, council gave settlement directed by a vote of 5-0, with Councilman Valdivia abstaining due to his arrival about midway through that presentation. Henry Nickel was absent. In the matter of Michael Costner versus City, council gave settlement directed by 5-0, with Valdivia and Nickel absent. In the case of Oldfield versus City, council gave settlement directive 5-0, with Valdivia and Nickel absent. In the case of Hall versus City, council gave settlement directive 5-0, with Valdivia and Nickel absent. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We're going to make a quick change in the presentation. I'm first going to present to the Aquinas High School boys soccer and the football team. And so if the coaches will join me at the podium. We'd like to take a few moments and recognize the accomplishment of the Aquinas boys soccer and football teams and their coaches and the good work that they've done. It's my honor to introduce this year's CIF Southern Section Champions. The boys soccer team brought the championship trophy home after 20 years, and the football team brought the trophy home after 12 years. The news of your achievements has come as a great delight to all of us here. Your hard work and commitment to practice has paid off. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you for having us, and we're trying to do everything first through faith at our school and build something great, and it's been going since 1955 and it's still going strong, so thank you.
I would like to thank the city for having us here. It's been an amazing run for the soccer boys also, and the football teams there. They're winning these championships and representing the city well. We're a small school in San Bernardino, but no doubt that we're doing the right thing there. Thank you all.
So, coaches, we'd like to issue this certificate of recognition to the head coach of both the football team and the varsity coach. The mayor and city council join to celebrate your remarkable championship win and congratulate you for your victory. We commend you for your dedication and hard work. Your win is a win for our entire community. Thank you for bringing pride to San Bernardino.
Good evening, good evening. I think it's special to take home one championship, but it's even more special when you take home two. So congratulations once again for the football championship and our soccer team. Congratulations on behalf of Assembly Member Eloise Gomez-Reyes.
Thank you.
Maybe we can come into the well.
Might go over here.
Option one, not sure.
Okay, wait, don't look. Ready, 1, 2, if you could look this way. Sorry. And that's not even mine, so let's, here we go, okay? 1, 2, 3, we're gonna take a couple of them, thank you.
This time, I'd like to invite our police department, Sergeant Echeverria, and the team that you want to participate in this. Well, this is really a special occasion to be able to recognize the achievement of our police department. They were first in the Baker to Vegas relay race in the 500 Invitational, and so we are very proud of them. So in commemoration of this, the city of San Bernardino wishes to recognize their achievement. The mayor and the city council joined to celebrate the SBPD's victory at the Baker to Vegas run. We commend the department for its participation and congratulate you for winning first place. We honor you for your hard work and dedication and for bringing pride to our community. Dated this 18th day of April 2018. Congratulations. Can you get the whole team in? Well, before we do that, Sergeant, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank the mayor and city council for this recognition. We take great pride in representing our department very professionally. Some of us were born, raised, and still live in this community. We're very proud of that. As a police department, we took it seriously, our fitness, our wellness, and we prepared for this race intensely. We ran 120 miles in 15 hours and 33 minutes. It's about 746 pace per mile. We climbed some legs of 1,000 feet of altitude, and we did very well. So we're very proud of that. Our team was comprised of sworn personnel as well as professional staff, and as a team, we did very well. Thank you.
I'd also like to mention that our police department ran in the departments of under 500, and they competed against one of their rivals was Cal State San Bernardino. And Cal State San Bernardino's teams draw from all of their campuses, and so they were able to pick some of their very prime runners, but our San Bernardino Police Department beat them, I think by about 90 seconds, as I recall.
Close enough. Wow, 120 miles. I'm going to need to get that training regiment pretty quickly. But on behalf of the Honorable Eloise Gomez-Reyes, we also want to present an award for this championship. And it reads, we probably join with the San Bernardino City Council to congratulate your success as the first place champion for the 500 individual during the 34th annual Bakers of Vegas race. The 47th Assembly District proudly thanks you for not only being a champion for our community, but now a champion in our community. Congratulations.
We get a picture, we all come together. Let's get the council back up again.
Don't move. Yeah, a couple more. Okay. All right. If you could look. Councilman Short, would you mind moving to that side, please? I apologize. Skew this way. Okay. Ready? Please look at the iPhone first. 1, 2, 3. We're going to take a couple. Hold on. Okay, now I have the right setting. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Don't move. Oh, don't move. Thank you.
Well, have you guys, are you going to stay?
I think it's better if we stay here. There's a video that PD.
I'll be right.
Thank you again, Sergeant. I had the opportunity to, together with my wife, join them the day that they received their certificate and their award. And so this is one of the trophies that they receive, and this is proudly displayed in the mayor's office. So let's have a round of applause for them once again. I'd like to make you aware of some proclamations. We're not making those proclamations here this evening other than to give you notice that the City of San Bernardino proclaims April 21st as Service Day and encourages our residents to thank those who serve and find ways to give back to the community. The City of San Bernardino also proclaims April 22nd as Earth Day. We encourage our residents and businesses to celebrate Earth, promote the protection of our environment, and take part in the tree planting event this Saturday on April 21st at Lytle Creek Park. The City of San Bernardino also proclaims April as DMV Donate Life Month and encourage all of our residents to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards. This time we will just postpone the recognition of Citizen of the Month. Mr. Valdivia's candidate was not able to attend this evening. It will be delayed to our next meeting. Mr. Art Davis we received that and was unable to be here as a result of a family emergency. Next, we have a presentation by the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District, the American Public Works Association Award. If you come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and other members of the City Council. Good evening, Mayor and honorable members of the City Council. I am here this evening with a team of people who I will bring up here to present a very well-deserved award to the City of San Bernardino. I'm talking about Bryce E. Haynes Park. Bryce E. Haynes Park would not exist were it not for the City of San Bernardino's dream of seeking $5 million in a very, very competitive round of funding of Prop 84, which was passed by the voters in California in 2006, a $5.4 billion bond, with a significant amount set aside for parks, new parks in underserved areas where there never had been parks. And it was what under Mayor Morris's leadership, the Mayor and Common Council decided to seek one of these park grants. It was a rigorous process. They had to find a place, not a park that exists, but find a place where they could buy the land to put the park. They had to work with the community, and they brought in a remarkable design firm, David Evans and Associates, who are here this evening, who worked with the community and the city to design this park. Then they had to submit an application and compete. Chances were 1 in 25 to get a grant. And lo and behold, the City of San Bernardino was awarded $5 million to build a park. And then tragedy struck with the city's bankruptcy. The state called the city and said, "I'm sorry, we can't give you a grant." And Mayor Morris was determined that there was a way to do this. And because Mayor Morris believed that neighbors should work together, he came to the president of San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District, Patrick Milligan, and said there's got to be a way. And San Bernardino Valley did, when it was founded almost 65 years ago, have latent park authority. So we managed to put together a structure and to go to the state and say, would this work? And they said, yes, it would work. So, so San Bernardino Valley staff managed the construction of this project. Today, San Bernardino Valley ratepayers are contributing funds to operate this park. And we're working with the mayor and council to identify when and where, and how the city will take over the operation of the park. But I'm here today to present an award to you that from the American Public Works Association. Every year, the American Public Works Association in Southern California has a competition for annual projects. And they look at buildings, they look at creative facilities, athletic and recreational facilities, stormwater quality projects, traffic, mobility, and transportation projects. And projects all over are submitted. And David Evans and Associates felt that Bryce E. Haynes Park was special. They submitted for it. And in December of 2017, after the park opened, as you know, last summer, I went and accepted the award for Bryce Haynes Park, a 2-acre park funded by the State of California 2006 Clean Water Bond Act, located on a busy corner in an underserved neighborhood in the city of San Bernardino. The park features a water spray ground, skate park, soccer field, play area, public areas, basketball court, signage, fitness area, restroom, and parking. Sustainable features include permeable paving, drought-tolerant planting, solar lighting, smart irrigation techniques, and recycled materials. David Evans and Associates, after this award was presented to the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District, he went back to the American Public Works Association and said, "Could I have a second plaque? I'll pay for it. I would like it to say City of San Bernardino as well as San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District." So I'm going to call my team up here to present this award to you. Would you please join me? And I'll let them each introduce themselves.
Kim Rhodes, landscape architect with David Evans and Associates.
Steve Copeland, director at Valley Water.
I'm Wen Huang. I'm staff of San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District.
And as you may recall, Wen was the manager who managed the construction of the park. So where would you like us to give this award to you? Because we all want to do it.
Thank you, Susan. We certainly appreciate that. Next, we'll invite the representative from the Chamber of Commerce to come forward.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Colin Strange, Director of Business Resources at the San Bernardino Area Chamber of Commerce with the up-and-coming community calendar information for the coming 2 weeks. I would advise anybody at home, maybe you want to grab a pencil and piece of paper, take down some information, because there's a lot happening in this town this coming week. There are several Inland Empire 66ers home games at San Manuel Stadium on East Street, beginning Thursday the 19th at 7:05, Friday the 20th at 7:05, Saturday the 21st at 6:05, Sunday the 22nd in the afternoon at 2:05, and Monday the 30th at 7:05. Call 888-9922 if you need more details. On Friday at 9 a.m., the Humane Society will be giving a training session on rattlesnake avoidance at 374 West Orange Show. So call 386-1400, extension 218, to book a place or to get more information. Continuing with the Animal Planet theme, starting Friday the 20th at 8 p.m., the California Theater of the Performing Arts on 4th Street presents Madagascar the Musical. Then again on Saturday the 21st at 2 and 8 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. Madagascar is a musical adventure based on the DreamWorks movie, which takes the stage with lively songs and music, telling the tale of Alex the lion, Marty the zebra, and various other animals as they make their way from New York's Central Park Zoo to the magical island of Madagascar. Coffee Klatch on Wednesday, April the 25th at 7:30 p.m. at the Chamber offices on 5th Street will feature your own Kathy Brand of the City of San Bernardino Economic and Housing Development Department as our guest speaker. Friday, April 27th at 9 a.m., the Community Hospital of San Bernardino, together with St. Bernardine's Medical Center, present their Charity Golf Classic at the Morongo Golf Club at Tuckbet Canyon. Call 881-7676 for information. While, of course, later on that same day, at 5 p.m., the State of the City presentation takes place at San Bernardino International Airport. 384-5133 for information on that event. Saturday, April the 23rd at 9:30 a.m. and then again at 5 p.m., the Assistance League of San Bernardino presents their Glittering Headdress Ball at the National Orange Show. 862-0732 for information. Finally, at 7 p.m. on the same evening, Affordable Music Productions presents the Righteous Brothers, Bill Medley and Buckley Hurd, live on the stage at the California Theater of the Performing Arts on 4th Street. Call Affordable Productions at 951-7555 for information and tickets. And we wish you a very pleasant remainder of April. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Strange.
Good evening once again. Good evening, Daryl, again, representing Assemblymember Eloise Reyes. And I want to first commend this newsletter from the city management letter, because I'm really just loving to see the positivity in our city, a city that we oftentimes see the negative parts of it. But I just wanted to commend and take a couple seconds to really thank the city management office for putting this together every month. Can we give it a real quick? Come on, support. A couple events that our office is hosting that I really encourage you all to come out. For one is our Ready or Not Earthquake Preparedness Fair. As we know, the earthquake is inevitable, especially in our city, which is right above the fault. So we definitely want to make an initiative and a point a promise to really prepare our community how to prepare for things like this, right? So we're going to have the county fire have a trailer truck where they can teach the kids and even us how to get out of like a burning house. We're going to have the earthquake simulator come down as well so we can see how it feels like to be in an earthquake. And we have a couple more, about 8 different other vendor booths all up and down the state, really getting us, our own city, prepared for this inevitable cause, right? So I encourage you guys to come. It's going to be on Saturday, this Saturday, April 21st, at the San Bernardino Valley College. Again, this Saturday, April 21st, at the San Bernardino Valley College. My colleagues are passing around flyers so you guys have information to read along the way. And then also, we also pride ourselves on having the best, in my opinion, the best of the state nonprofit organizations within this city. So we encourage you all to nominate your nonprofit that you're connected with, or you may have heard great news about them, but really nominate them for our own 47th District Nonprofit of the Year. They have a chance to go up to Sacramento and kind of meet some people and get even further along in the process. So we're looking for nominations from today all the way to the 27th, and you can find more information on the flyers given to you. All right, have a good one.
Thank you. We will now open up our meeting to public comments for items listed on the agenda or not listed on the agenda. The first speaker is Andrea Nisus.
Start now.
Please state your name and
Hi,
the
my
item
name-
that you're speaking to.
Hi, my name's Andrea Nisus, and I'm totally not prepared here. I'm here to talk about the animal shelter. I want to tell you about my friends there. They need some help. We want to make sure that the animal shelter stays open. Old, young, rich, poor people, we all love animals. People come from all over Canada, England, East Coast, to adopt and rescue animals at our little animal shelter down the street. Cesar Millan came 2 years ago and offered to build us a new shelter. We just need the land donated. So Hallmark Channel, we participated with their show this year, the Rescue Channel show. People everywhere come to help this little shelter that saves so many lives. It's a great positive impact on the San Bernardino city. I mean, it's something that we all need, an animal shelter. We have a great team of rescues and volunteers, and above all, I'd like to take a minute to thank the shelter staff. The shelter staff is amazing. We have great people working there. They're wonderful. And to put up with not knowing if the shelter is going to close or not, that's huge. Not knowing if they have a job tomorrow. And that's something that I would really like to stop that. What could we do to make things better? Move forward. Let's keep the shelter open. People want to help, but everybody says the same thing. Will we be open? How much longer? Get the land. Let's get a land, have it there so people will donate or volunteer to build us a shelter. It won't cost the city anything at that point if you donate the land. I'm sure San Manuel would also help. Why wouldn't the city council want to help the city provide an animal shelter to the citizens? We need to support the politicians who will help the city provide for these people, not hurt, outsource, or shut down another local business. And John Valdivia, I'm talking to you, okay? We need to support the politicians who will help the city provide for the people, not hurt, outsource. And I think it's rude to be on your cell phone when I'm talking to you. We can do great things together. Please join us to fight to help the city shelter open. 7,000 animals' lives a year are saved, and I think it's really worth the effort. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ana de la Tejera.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. My name is Ana de la Tejera. I am 67 years old, and I am here to support the cannabis issue. I started using cannabis 2.5 years ago after being diagnosed with severe osteoarthritis. I was sent home to deal with the new normal. I needed assistance to get dressed, taking a bath, and started using walking aids. I couldn't cook, drive, curl my hair, or get out of bed on my own. Doctors prescribed antidepressants and pain medication. Suffering the side effects from the prescribed meds, I started researching the use of cannabis. I read testimonials regarding the success patients were having with cannabis that I decided to try it. Well, I am here today to tell you it is my survival medication. Coal Creek has been, which is one of the dispensaries, has been my salvation, providing me with medication that has given me back my freedom. I am back to normal and have returned to teaching dance, which is my passion for the last 42 years. Going to a dispensary and seeing senior citizens like myself going for alternatives is proof that weed is not a crazy drug that people use only to get high. Please help seniors get the medications they need to keep us off of hard drugs and out of the hospital. I thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Mark Estemeyer.
Mayor, council, public, staff, want to thank you for allowing me to come up and actually have this conversation. I'm actually going to hand out, because I want this on the record, and please give me the fair amount of time to be able to complete this. I'll get through this as quickly as possible. Myself and every person who participates in the political process must have total reliance on the comments and opinions shared by this body to be truthful and accurate. On March 7, 2018, there was open discussion pertaining to the non-conforming residential properties within a 600-foot radius of a potential commercial cannabis business, specifically 5.10.250B2 of the San Bernardino Commercial Cannabis Regulations. Councilman Nickel asked the city manager about having the ability to review all applications, specifically those applications where the non-conforming residential parcels could have a negative impact for the applicant. Councilman Charette asked a similar follow-up question pertaining to the same issue Nickel asked about. The city manager gave them both a reassurance they would be able to review these applications. It does not matter whether these statements by the city manager were meant to be deceitful, because of incompetence, or a simple mistake. The result of unreliable information being shared by a city official at this level is inexcusable. This council needed the highest level of reliance on the comments made by a city staff to be truthful and accurate with all forms of communication, both written and verbal. Because I was never given the opportunity to have a meeting with the city manager by phone or in person, I relied on the information shared to me by council members to be accurate. I garnered trust with my landlord, investors, and other business associates by expressing my belief in the validity of the comments made publicly by this body. My business partner and I have spent over $100,000 in preparation for just this industry. Whoops, I stapled them wrong together. In applying for the city permit. All these actions were committed to because of a reliance on the comments made by council and staff. We all rely on a truthful and accurate information to make well-informed decisions, both personal and professional. The information being shared by staff on the cannabis industry has been inconsistent and unreliable. Not only have these public comments been extremely detrimental to me personally, but these same comments have been detrimental to the economic viability of the cannabis industry as a whole. Mr. Mayor, I understand the need for separation of a commercial cannabis business and residentially zoned properties. 300 feet was acceptable.
Mr. Estemeyer, your time has expired. Please wrap it up.
I will, okay, very quickly. But 600 feet is extreme and only reflects the views of what is an appropriate distance. Your planning commission agreed any buffer for non-conforming residential lots would impede the potential development in these zones already shared by residential parcels. Mr. Mayor, I will never understand your rationale to penalize the owners of properly zoned properties from being able to participate in an industry that can be an economic engine for the city. Mr. Mayor, it appears you only serve your personal views in spite of the benefits of the city can claim by a robust cannabis industry. As a third-generation San Bernardino, I understand, San Bernardino High School graduate with deep roots in the city. Look, I'll go ahead and I'll finish. You guys all have my comments here, but the bottom line is that the industry has been here.
Mr. Estamar, your time has expired.
I understand.
And we have a number of other speakers on other
I
topics.
completely understand.
Thank you.
One other thing, here's a list of all the properties located within my region. There's 10 of them. I just didn't want it to go to waste, but there are 10 property owners here that agree that this is fine.
Sandra Oliva.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I called Mr. Mulvihill, didn't get a return call. I called Virginia Marquez. She told me what to do, and I did it. Called the city manager's office, no return call. Called the fire department, no return call. So I'm going to do this. I haven't asked much from this city, but I've given you a hell of a lot. If you know me, you know everything I've done for this city. On March 1st, I was driving down the 210 freeway and suffered a massive heart attack. PJ was with me. I couldn't move my hands, and my vision went. I didn't know what was happening to me. This woman suffers from PTSD. She kept her cool, calm, and collect. I had told her I needed help, pushed my purse to her and said, call. My husband's number's in there. Not knowing what was going on with me. She became my best friend that day because when she was on the phone with 911, she said, I have a female here in her mid-40s. She became my best friend that day. The fire department got there and the ambulance company got there. I was rushed to St. Bernardine's Hospital, taken straight into surgery. The cardiologist told my husband if she hadn't been with me, I would have died that day because I didn't have chest pains. I didn't have anything like that because women suffer heart attacks differently. I don't have anything to give you as recognition. I don't have a certificate. I tried to have somebody from the city help me. Couldn't get any response. But PJ, you have my love. And I'll love you forever. You gave me a second chance. Because 1 in 2 women who suffer from their first heart attacks die. Because we don't know that's what's going on. Besides, you think I'm in my mid-40s. I love you, and I will do anything in the world for you. But honestly, I want to thank you. And if I had something to give you a recognition, a plaque, I would. But all I can give you is a hug and tell you thank you very much. And I lied to you about coming to the city council meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Strange, I have a blue slip for you. Did you want to speak, or did you already speak on behalf of the council? Or was... All right. Colin Strange.
bad penny keeps on turning up. I'm here as the staff coordinator of the Governmental Affairs Division of the San Bernardino Area Chamber of Commerce. For the last 25 years, or as best as anybody can remember, the Chamber, in partnership with the city and your public broadcasting system, now IMG, has presented candidate forums that have been televised for the purpose of educating the public on the candidates running for public office. This is not limited to only the city council or mayoral races, but includes other races that are taking place which affect our area, such as the school board, county supervisor, state offices such as assembly or state senate, and the congressional seats. The Chamber does not take a political stance on any candidate, being a nonpartisan, non-profit organization. Rather, we seek to provide these forums purely as a public service and acknowledge our television networking system at the end of the evening for working with us on the project. For example, when we had the charter amendment, the only questions that were submitted to the candidates were questions that were submitted from either side. This is a service for those who do not or cannot attend other candidate forums in person, and gives them an opportunity to be able to see and hear for themselves what the candidates are saying, not just read a condensed version or opinion of the reporter in the press. We were informed that the city can no longer let the chamber use the council chambers and assume that this also means the television services. So we therefore respectfully ask you to reconsider this decision for the reasons I have stated. I thank you for your time and would be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. William Cioce.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm not sure what's happening with the animal shelter, but I have a few questions. If it were to close or be relocated out of the city, where would people take their animals, unwanted or strays, to? I think that we'd pretty much have a lot more dumping of animals on the streets, and if we have more dumping on the streets, we're going to have more dead animals on the streets being hit by cars, being beaten by junkies, what have you. So who's going to be responsible to pick up these carcasses and dispose of these bodies if we get rid of the animal shelter? Just a question that came to mind. Yesterday, the Bureau of Cannabis Control, they released a memo. Please be aware that lawful participation by Bureau licensees in any temporary cannabis event that allows sales and or consumption is dependent upon issuance of the appropriate licenses from the Bureau. All participants involved in on-site sales of cannabis goods at a temporary cannabis event must either be licensed retailer or licensed microbusiness. And it goes on, and it says, qualified patients and the designated caregivers of qualified patients that continue to operate collectively or cooperatively without a state cannabis license are not subject to certain state criminal sanctions based solely on their cultivation or manufacturing until this section is repealed January 19th, 2019. However, nothing in section 11362.775 expressly authorizes collectives or cooperatives to participate in cannabis events, commonly known as Prop 215 events, where cannabis is sold and or consumed. So you have before you today an agenda item to grant a temporary license to High Times and the Orange Show. But as I understand these regulations, High Times needed to apply for a temporary event license no less than 60 days before the first day of the event. That's paragraph D of section 5601 in the temporary cannabis event licenses. And that includes a written approval from the city of San Bernardino. That's part 8 of paragraph D.
Mr. Cioce, excuse me for interrupting you, but we do have that as a public hearing item. And so if you wanted to speak directly to that during the public hearing, then you would need to be sworn in during that time.
Okay.
So if you
Well,
want to...
so the way that you just have the, public comments now kind of all thrown together, I'm not sure how you were planning on doing that, but I would like to come back during...
I'll note on this that you want to speak during the public hearing.
Yes,
On
thank
item
you.
31. Thank you.
Is that what item it is? 30. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Lenfesti.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Lenfesti. I know that's a hard name to pronounce. So I'm a puller for the San Bernardino City Shelter. And basically, if you don't know what a puller does, they get information from the shelter that day that an animal is about to be or in danger of being put down. Miraculously, in this last few years, especially since Oscar Perez has become manager of the city shelter, we have been able to daily receive texts and pictures of the animals that are close to being put down. We have a large group of volunteers that work together. We all work together, all the rescues work together to sometimes immediately be able to rescue these animals out of the shelter. Within minutes of getting those texts and pictures from the amazing staff at the San Bernardino City Shelter, we are able to work literally around the world with volunteers that are willing to donate funds and also help with the rescue efforts. We get people that are willing to pick up, rescue, bottle feed babies that otherwise would have been put down at the end of the day because they don't have a mother to nurse from. We have dogs that get brought in. And so because of the amazing staff at the San Bernardino City Shelter, we are able to work together and rescue. The difference between this shelter and other shelters are that we don't get that at all from any other shelter in Southern California. San Bernardino City Shelter works directly with us, not only pulling, rescuing, fostering, and also amazing programs that are part of the inner cities with spay and neuter, education, free adoption clinics, etc. We will not be able to have those opportunities if, for example, if we were to close the San Bernardino City Shelter and the animals would then be turned over to Riverside Shelter, the problem would be that a lot of these animals will not make it down there. They will run out of time and they will not make it down there. I deal with this, every day, and I have to tell you that a lot of the animals that we get in will not be driven down to Riverside Shelter. A lot of people will not take the time to drive down there. A lot of these people some people don't even have cars. They literally walk in their animals and don't have a place for them. So they're not going to take the time to go down to Riverside to drop off their animals. We're going to get an influx of animals on the streets here, and unfortunately, thousands of cats are going to be born on the streets of the city if we don't do something about it. So I appreciate the thought of trying to not allow the San Bernardino City Shelter to close. It's very important to our city.
Ms. Lenfesti, your time's expired. If you could please wrap it up.
Sure. If I could just end with one comment. Oscar Perez is the manager of the city shelter. He has worked amazing with us. Ever since he took over the shelter, our euthanization rate went from 58% in 2013 to now 10%. If we could get down to 8%, we would be considered a no-kill shelter. That is our goal. We are at the cusp of this, and the community has worked very hard. It has taken us many years to work together to get to this point, and we are right at the end game, and we just ask for a little bit more time and be able to work this out so that we can keep the shelter open.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jose O'Connell.
Good evening, Mayor Davis and council members. It's so nice to see you and meet you. My name is Jose Ocano. I'm actually the Pacific Regional Director for Best Friends Animal Society. We are a national organization with a charter to make the whole country no-kill by the year 2025. Best Friends has many strategic partnerships with a lot of local municipalities here in California. One of those is actually with Riverside County Department of Animal Services, specifically at their Coachella Valley Animal Shelter. So I've been in your awesome city for the last few days just learning more about it. And so yesterday I actually spent some time touring and working a little bit with Oscar and learning about your city shelter. And while the building has some real major physical challenges, that's for sure, it is really incredible to see the amount of life-saving that is happening in that shelter. And that's actually something you should be really proud of. So you have an awesome soccer team, football team, police department, and a city shelter too. So that's a feather in your cap. So we understand that the city of San Bernardino is possibly considering outsourcing its animal services to an outside entity. And while we're not advocating one way or another who this contract should go to or whether it continues here, the one thing that we would advocate for is that whomever is responsible for operating your shelter, that they continue to have the life-saving that they have, and that euthanasia rate, keeping it low and even minimizing it and having that high, what we call a live release rate. So at Best Friends, we have a local and national understanding of how people feel about pets. In fact, a poll recently conducted by GfK Roper Public Affairs stated that 71% of Americans feel that animal shelters should only be allowed to euthanize animals when they are too sick to be treated or too aggressive to be adopted. Additionally, the City of Austin's resolution to maintain a greater than 90% live release rate at the city animal shelter may be responsible for as much as $157 million in positive economic impacts since the policies began in 2010. According to a paper by 4 University of Denver researchers. So we understand that this is a really complex issue, and we just wanted to let you know that Best Friends Animal Society is here to help in any way you need. Thank you.
Thank you. Alice Chow.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving us your time. My name is Alice Chow, and I've been a resident of San Bernardino since 1976. We were immigrants that came from another country. We bought a business a mile away from the shelter on Fairway Drive, and my parents were able to retire and put 3 daughters through college. We love the city of San Bernardino. I also am a teacher with the San Bernardino City Unified School District, been teaching for 18 years. And after school every day, my school is very close to the shelter. I go and volunteer. I also am the president of Dream Team Angels Rescue and a board member of Foster Me and Pet Guest Interventions. My volunteer group are the people that you've seen if you've read the newspaper. We make the dog beds at the shelter. And we have volunteers that come in from other cities, and we do that 2 to 3 times a year, where people give up their Saturdays, and we come together and we make the beds for the dogs, along with other donors who donate whatever's needed at the shelter. So I commit about 3 to 4 hours daily of doing pictures and videos at the shelter, and when I'm off on my spring, summer, and winter breaks, I'm there all day. Myself and others work closely with the shelter staff, and we're able to take pictures and videos of medical dogs. These are dogs that, are injured or in bad shape that other shelters wouldn't allow volunteers to go in and take pictures of. So what we do is we get more information and we're able to pass that on to rescues, and that's why they're able to get rescued. That helps with lowering our euthanasia rate also. Our volunteers, we have a great system. So the staff text messages us and says, this dog or cat needs out today. We have volunteers on standby close to the shelter that will transport these dogs and cats to the vets or rescues as needed. And we also find homes for pet owners, pets that they have no place to go, they're moving, whatever. We actually intercept these animals before they go into the shelter, and we place them with rescues. Our group also helps pet owners pay their vet bills, and we also help them with bailing out their dogs or cats from the shelter, so we pay their bills. Usually there's some dogs hit by cars. The shelter will call us, we'll raise the money for the surgery, and it usually is about $1,000 to $2,000, and we pay that bill. So we provide this free service for the San Bernardino residents. The working relationship that we have with the amazing staff at SBC, they are absolutely amazing people. They go beyond what they need to do. And that helps with their the low youth rate. And, okay, I'll wrap it up. I just want to say we are getting better and better every year. Our youth rate is so low. And I am just asking you for more time so that we can work together to make it even better. Thank you.
Jessica Lopez.
Hi there. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. My name is Jessica Lopez. I founded a nonprofit organization about a year ago, and I've been in the animal welfare field in veterinary medicine for the last 15 years. So my job today is to bring you guys some statistics about the different shelters if you guys are considering outsourcing our shelter to Riverside. Currently, San Bernardino City shelter statistics bring our life saving to an 89.4% life save rate, which means 10.6% of the animals get euthanized, usually severe medicals or severely aggressive animals. Currently, Riverside County animal shelters have nearly a 40% euthanasia rate, which translates to roughly 11,200 animals dying. Of that, there's a certain percentage of the 40%, and it's like 53% of that are savable animals, but they don't have homes for them. The biggest takeaway that I want you guys to kind of hear is currently other cities in San Bernardino County have outsourced to Riverside. Those cities include Colton and Fontana, and currently dogs have a 15% euthanasia rate, which is good. It can absolutely get better. But the biggest number is cats have an 82% euthanasia rate from San Bernardino County cities that have gone to Riverside. 82% of those cats get euthanized. Of those 1,200 cats that get taken over there to Riverside, 6 cats were returned to their owners. That is less than 0.5% of the cats that actually get to Riverside make it back to their owners. That return to owner percentage is extremely low. On average, most municipal shelters can average anywhere between 3 to 5% return to owner rates for cats. The other thing I would like to mention is there's a whole bunch of rescues that are really active with San Bernardino City. Currently, Riverside County shelters utilize rescues for only 24% of their animals that get out. And that's specifically for dogs. For cats, with the 82% euthanasia rate, Riverside only utilizes 6% of rescues to come in to save 6% of those animals with an 82% euthanasia rate. And yes, there's programs that are coming down the pipeline, but it takes a long time for that number to change significantly. And currently, because San Bernardino City has such a robust rescue group, dogs currently 50% are saved by the public and 50% are saved by rescues. Conversely, only 14% of cats are adopted by the public, whereas 86% of your life save rate of cats are coming from rescues. So I think it's really important to know just what you guys have currently. And I have the statistics for you so you guys could take a look at it.
Thank you. Renee Hersey. Jennifer Rosengard.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Rosengard. I'm co-founder and president of Daisy's Hope Foundation.
I am a former shelter worker, and I have personally fostered sick cats and kittens from San Bernardino City. I'm not a resident of your city. In fact, none of our board members are, but we love your shelter. We love Oscar, his dedicated staff, and the residents of the city. We started in 2015 when the co-founders realized that the city's intake numbers were the same no matter how hard the staff worked or how many animals or rescues pulled. When we saw the statistics that over half of your city's residents were on public aid of some kind and there were no resources for their pets, we knew we had to get out in the community and create what we call a shelter intervention program. We have spent the last year working closely with the community, and we have learned that most of them care about their pets, but while they struggle to feed their families, their pets ultimately suffer. We make sure we hold events that are easily accessible by public transportation, as a lot of them do not have vehicles. We have a pet pantry, we provide free spay and neuter, free vaccines, free microchips, and we have the only organized trap, neuter, and release division that focus specifically on your city. Our programs not only support your city's residents, but also positively and directly impact your shelter. Should the shelter close, these residents that ultimately cannot keep or take care of their pets are also the same ones that are on aid and that have no transportation. They will not have the ability to get to Riverside to turn in or surrender their pets, nor will they be able to redeem them if they are lost. We fear the fallout of that will result in more dumping of animals, thus beginning the vicious cycle of unwanted litters suffering on your city streets from disease and neglect. We are here to ask you to consider keeping the shelter open, knowing that our foundation and our supporters will continue to meet our mission of reducing your intakes. We have recently received financial commitments, which will allow us to bring the mobile spay and neuter bus to your city at least 10 times this year, which will prevent a minimum of 2,100 puppies from being born. We have a voucher program for cats with over 100 on the waiting list, and we will host more free vaccine and microchip clinics while focusing on expanding our trap, neuter, and release program. Our work this year could decrease the number of incoming animals into your shelter by 1/4. As our financial support continues to increase, our positive and direct impact on the shelter will increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie Scheffler.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. My name is Marie Scheffler. I am a volunteer at the shelter. I think the city, the size of San Bernardino, needs to have a central shelter. Our city shelter is staffed with caring employees. You've already heard that. They are some of the best employees. They care about the animals, and they really want to see them get out alive. My passion is the feral cats. These are cats that are not up for adoption because they are not friendly. So in the last, so until a few years ago, they waited out their stray hold and they were just killed. They just didn't have much in the way of options. Occasionally a rescue would pull a feral cat, but for the most part they were killed. Thanks to Oscar, who understood that that wasn't good for, I mean, they're healthy cats and they're killed because they don't have any options. He's helped implement a program where we pull the feral cats, we spay and neuter them. They are returned wherever they were trapped at. Unless they cannot be returned for some reason, then they go into a barn program. I network for barn facilities, which could be any type of large property that has a rodent problem, because they then become working cats for non-toxic rodent control. Everybody's aware of all the toxins in our society, and we don't need any more. So the cats become non-toxic rodent control. There was a study done, 81% of people said that they would leave unowned cats alone. Only 14% of the people said that they felt they should be trapped and killed. Studies show that trapping them, bringing them to a shelter, and killing them does nothing to stop the ongoing population. We're hoping to spay and neuter them. They go back to where they were at. They control that population. They keep other cats out. They don't have babies. The males are no longer spraying, they're no longer howling, they're no longer a nuisance. So what we're concerned is that if the city shelter does close, the trappers won't go to Riverside, that they will just trap them, release them somewhere else in the city where they're not the problem in their community or in their neighborhood. If that happens, you're going to see the feral cat population increase like crazy because cats like to have babies. That's just the way it is. I do TNR in the city with Daisy's Hope. I think if the shelter is closed, the TNR is just going to, I have a hard time keeping up with it now as it is. I think if this shelter is closed, the amount of calls that I get is just going to explode also. So we would like to see it stay open. We would like to see the programs that Oscar has implemented to try and stop cats from having more babies. That's what we're all about, trying to stop the overpopulation. So, thank you.
Thank you. Janine Nielsen.
Good evening, Mayor Davis and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I am Janine Nielsen. I am a board member for Daisy's Hope Foundation, and I'm a realtor with RE/MAX Advantage. I have been an approved poller for San Bernardino City Shelter and Cat Angel Network since May of 2015, as well as a volunteer for several other rescues throughout California. We have helped network and pull 803 cats to rescue in 2017, and we are at 213 cats year to date. The realtor community is very deeply impacted by the demand for the quality of life that our clients seek out when buying and renting homes, as well as investing in commercial businesses. They are looking for pet-friendly rentals, parks, and a shelter that cares for them and their pets. We see the best of the best and the worst of the worst as we navigate San Bernardino in order to serve our clients, including having to step up to rescue the 10 left-behind cats of slain San Bernardino Sheriff Larry Falsey. We all have a stake and take pride in the city of San Bernardino, and in support of that, the realtor community has stepped up to support SBC by partnering with Daisy's Hope Foundation. We are grateful to have been named the charity of choice for Keller Williams' annual Red Day community outreach on May 10 at San Manuel 66er Stadium, where we will be joined by up to 75 volunteers and the media to offer free spay and neuter, vaccine, microchips, healthy pet owner educational booths, dog grooming, and a pet food pantry, where we will serve up to 250 pet owners and their pets. Sitting here this evening, I just received a text message from my title rep with Fidelity Title here in the city asking, is the city shutting the shelter down? I told her I'm here now in support of keeping it open, and her response was, how can a city not have an animal shelter, especially the size of San Bernardino? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Faith Eastdale.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. I'm Faith Easdale. I'm with Project Rescue Dream Fetchers. I'm boots on the ground. I'm in the wash. I'm in the riverbeds. I'm in the fields. I'm saving the lives of these animals. San Bernardino is the largest county in the United States, am I right? How is it possible for us to not have a shelter? I'm already so overwhelmed. I spent 3 days in a riverbed in San Bernardino saving lives, and there are a lot more in there. People think it's okay to take their animals and throw them out on a busy freeway or a busy highway or a busy street like Baseline. Little German Shepherd puppy just the other day was thrown, and they run after the cars, because even if they're bad people that own them, that's their people, and they'll go and they'll run. Then they try to survive and they starve, or hopefully they get rescued and they can go to a shelter, or I can save their lives. and I have saved thousands of lives. We are in the process of doing a documentary, and I'm sure a lot of it will be here in San Bernardino. We have filmmakers. We've got a reality show. I'm not a fan of that, but it still will educate people. I saw the streets littered with dead cats and animals on my way to the riverbed. I saw kids kicking the animals as they were seeing the dead ones on the road. And I think, where's the compassion? Where are these people? What are they teaching their families, their kids? It's incomprehensible. And I know for a fact when people are so lazy that they'll just dump their animals in a riverbed, they're not going to go to Riverside, let me tell you. And how many communities are already going to Riverside? How many cities already take their animals there already? San Bernardino needs this shelter. These volunteers are amazing. They've given me traps to trap dogs on the freeway. I've been on the freeway trapping dogs 11 hours, and Marie Scheffler was there with me, traipsing through the sticker bushes, and I got him after 11 hours. And I am boots on the ground, and I am here to save the animals, and we need these people, and we need this shelter to stay open. We are the largest county. And what is it that Gandhi said? Give me just a moment. Who knows that saying? It's, I'm sorry, my phone's acting up. Okay. The greatness of a nation and its moral, I can't read your writing.
The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated.
And how are our animals being treated? They're being thrown out. And I personally was told about a family who were going to throw their dying puppy out in a field because they didn't want to deal with it. You know, she would have
Ms.
suffered.
Esdale, your time's expired. If you could wrap it up, please.
Oh, I'll wrap it up, yes. So they would rather see a dog suffer or an animal suffer instead of taking them to a shelter. And I guarantee they're not going to take them to Riverside. That's not going to happen. They'll go to Redlands and all the other ones, and the kill rate, they're just going to die. They're going to die. So.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Helen Williams.
Hello, my name is Helen, and I am a San Bernardino City resident in Ward 2. I am here today because I have learned the San Bernardino City Shelter is considering outsourcing to Riverside's Western Riverside facility. I have a few reasons I'd like to share to encourage our city to keep the San Bernardino stray animals in San Bernardino. First, living in San Bernardino, I see at least 1 to 3 stray dogs every day in my neighborhood alone. We have community issues with people allowing their dogs to roam and also not spaying and neutering so their animals multiply. If the shelter is moved to Riverside, the community issues will remain and most will not travel to Riverside to claim their animals. A no-cost community awareness campaign regarding pet ownership rules and safety, as well as low-cost spay and neuter, and why dogs and cats should be spayed and neutered, in partnership with local rescue groups like Daisy's Hope Foundation and Cause for San Bernardino Paws, along with keeping the shelter in San Bernardino, would be a much more effective way to build awareness locally, reduce strays and overpopulation, and would alleviate some of the stress on the shelter and the city by partnering more with local rescue groups. Second, as a San Bernardino City resident, I care deeply about our city as well as our city's animals and their families. Many of my neighbors are low income. Many rely on public transportation. Many are not internet savvy. I'm concerned if our stray animals are sent all the way to Riverside, they will not be claimed. And I fear the end result. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Halfman.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for letting us speak tonight. My name is Angela Hoffman, and I'm a resident of San Bernardino. So I'm here tonight not only as a constituent, but also as a member of the rescue community, as president of Local Dog Rescue Cause for San Bernardino Paws. The last time I spoke to City Council was a few years ago, and I thanked everyone for the changes that the shelter had made under the new leadership over the last few years. And we also were there at the time to express some concerns. But since then, so many improvements have been made and continue to be made, including, but not limited to, so much more transparency. Oscar Perez's emails to the rescue community on a weekly basis, letting us know about urgent dogs and cats, also letting us know about the rescues, the shelter's capacity, the urgency when there's an urgent situation, the current euthanasia rate, and other shelter news. The youth rate has improved dramatically. San Bernardino City Shelter basically qualifies as a low kill and is almost at a no kill. And that's amazing. Animals survive now at the shelter for months while networkers can share pictures and videos to attract rescues and adopters. Animals now receive veterinary care if sick and injured. The rescue coordinator, Jennifer, she's always been amazing, but she and other staff are more empowered now to work creatively, to maximize shelter space, work with fearful dogs. And overall, the shelter of San Bernardino has actually become a shelter. So with the question lingering as to whether the shelter will be shut down and outsourced to Riverside, as a constituent and a rescue person, I implore the city to take at least a year to form a task team to research the best possible solution for San Bernardino. It could consist of members of Best Friends Animal Society, the rescue community inside and outside of San Bernardino, police, city council, shelter employees, and then other San Bernardino residents. Whether it be a bond measure to keep our shelter local, or specifics written into a contract if the only end result winds up being having to outsource to Western Riverside to ensure that our animals receive the best chance of owner retrieval, adoption, and rescue there. I ask that we work collaboratively to do what is best for the residents and the animals of San Bernardino. Western Riverside is a very beautiful state-of-the-art facility, but for reasons previously mentioned by others, I do believe we need to keep our shelter local. As a rescue that pulls from Western Riverside also, I can attest to the fact that the rescue coordinator is overwhelmed. The policies and the protocol would need vast reworking. Rescue-only dogs would need to be made available for public viewing so that they can be photographed and networked rather than kept out of public view in the off-limits rescue-only building. More staff would need to be hired to maintain the already high intake and to stay on top of rescue inquiries and commitments, and to monitor the high number of animals. And I'm wrapping up, I promise. We also would need to ask that they also hire another rescue coordinator. She is accommodating and wonderful when she can be reached, but communication is difficult and the rescue process is cumbersome. So we would love to work collaboratively with the city over the next year to try to figure out what would be best.
Thank you. Karen Curran.
Hi, thank you very much for allowing us a forum to at least be heard. We appreciate it. Some of the team members have already mentioned some concerns, of course. I won't really reiterate it all, but 71% of your constituents and your voters and your community members support local, accessible animal care services. Given Riverside's current challenge in keeping up-to-date dog listings and accessible information, we do want to know, what is the strategy once they have a new influx of dogs from San Bernardino City to manage the animals for San Bernardino City residents and constituents? Accessibility via transportation for our community is always a challenge, and being able to redeem your animal from so far away is going to be physically impossible for many of our members. So it's something that we'd like the teams to consider. I'd like to ask the City Council directly to seek to form a comprehensive business case strategy to be shared with some vested key stakeholders in the rescue community, proposing that it be in a formed committee, as already has been mentioned, with specifics to address local accessible animal services. We'd like to partner with you in a collaborative manner. Some of the interactions have not been positive, and we'd like to change that. And we've got team members that are willing to step forward and host those facilities and make sure it stays in a positive manner. We'd like to make sure that we're addressing the challenges that SBC is forming and that we have a community plan, right? Because we are a huge city. We have space, we have land. Why not use it? If it's a bond measure, if it's another proposition, if it's a gifted facility, we'd like to work with your teams over the next year to figure out what that business case plan looks like, to help gain funding or support or resources for it, and really put together a plan that works for the residents here. We're trying to increase property rates. We're trying to increase home buyers. We're trying to have responsible homeowners maintain their properties, and things that draw them in are an active community. We are on the cusp of creating a fiscally responsible city. We're already there. The team has done amazing so far, and I think that there is some awareness to that has to be mentioned. As part of that, we're looking at community rebirth. We've been on the edges of that for a decade and a half, and there's been a lot proposed. So part of that is city revitalization. So we'd like to ask that you and the rescue community all are part of the future improvement for this city, and that includes a comprehensive plan for animal care services that are local and accessible for our citizens. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayra Perez.
Hello, my name's Myra Perez, and I don't have much to say about the shelter. I have actually just got in touch with the ladies. I've been following the ladies for a year. I'm very passionate about animals, and I hope you guys are really paying attention to this, because some of my friends and myself, we have been reaching out to Fox 11, Channel 7 News, and we have been doing documentaries, videos. So it's out in social media. So this is something that we're highly passionate about, and following these ladies and what they've been doing, people should know, and you guys, it is important. I've been following these ladies for a year. I've always donated to different organizations, but never really felt that it was being given back. These ladies actually donate 100% of the donations back to the shelter, their time, their effort. And that shelter has done so many great things. It's just because of the appearance, people's perception is that the shelter is not doing so well. Almost 50% of Americans own dogs, and 30% of Americans own cats. So dogs are not pets anymore. They're like family. They're canines. They're disaster response. They do diabetic alert dogs, seizure response, and God forgive one day one of you or your family members might need a dog to support you in your needs or something. And I speak truly from the heart, because I have rescued and supported different animals and went through depression, that my dogs actually were there for me, and they did change my life. So these animals are really important in the community. As a realtor, I'm also a realtor, but I also work with subprime buyers. So I work in this community a lot, and the perception of San Bernardino is not that great. They rather drive to Menifee and Victorville than buy in San Bernardino. That is not something that you want to do by affecting the shelter as well. That is another negative impact that you guys will see in San Bernardino. As that said, I know there's land that can be available. If not only that, we can redo the shelter. There's people willing out there that are willing to work and do construction to rehab the shelter. I know I've heard of infill land, which is available in different cities. You guys, there's a lot of land in San Bernardino that I know must be infill land that can be used for that. There's also what we talked about right now is that you guys had beautiful recognition. The soccer, the Baker to Vegas, Bryce Haynes Park. Don't stop the progress. Why do you guys want to go backwards and make that park into a dump zone? So much invested that's going to be your next turnaround. And to that, we will continue to reach out to media and everything we have to do to make sure that this shelter is not closed.
Thank you. Maine Davis.
It's Mia. My name is Mia. So I come from Rancho Cucamonga, and I'm now here. And there was things I was going to say, but they've said it all. In Rancho, we didn't have, well, they don't have all the support. I mean, you have people that are so invested in the city. It's amazing. I've lived in San Bernardino County for like 10 years now. I've worked on statewide initiatives, and I've worked with nonprofits, and San Bernardino County is the most, we know, has been the most overlooked county in the country, shamefully so. And it's wonderful to see San Bernardino City starting to rise back up from the things that have really come against the city, community, and the people. And that you are the heart of San Bernardino County is San Bernardino City. And so to not look at and really hear what these people who are investing their time, and not all of them live in this city, or not all of them even live in San Bernardino County, what they're willing to invest and pour out, and all that Oscar has done with just like a shoestring budget to deal with. I have been in that shelter, and it's you know, if you didn't have hope in your heart, you would walk away with tears in your eyes. It's absolutely amazing, and this is an opportunity for things to be outside of the box. This is a great opportunity to do something wonderful that will give even people who may be homeless, or people who don't know how to train their animal, maybe want to send it back to the shelter. I mean, this is a great opportunity to do something wonderful with people and funds and resources that are beyond what maybe you even thought was possible. And that's just one little bit that is in store for San Bernardino City and San Bernardino County. So I applaud them for their sacrifice and their hard work to be out there in the trenches saving these ones who have no voice. We are their voice. We are their protection. And that's what they were created for us to protect and love, and for them to love and protect us. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologize for mispronouncing your name. I couldn't read the slip. Anthony Forfa? Forfa.
Good evening. You know, my name's obviously Anthony Forfa. I've been in the area of San Bernardino since 1985. I served at Norton Air Force Base. I've had many properties in San Bernardino over the years. I've purchased, owned a successful business for 25 years. The owner of Cold Creek Organics, I actually did a bathroom remodel for him, and asked if I would lease property to him for the dispensary. And to be quite honest with you, I told him, absolutely not. I want no part of it. I won't put your banners up. Want no part of it. And after doing a lot of research and a lot of prayer, I was surprised at what it is really about. So over time, we've made some agreements based on what I spoke to council members. The property is measured from churches and schools by miles, not by hundreds of feet, but by miles from where it's at. We were told, I was under the understanding it would be 300 feet. And then there was an issue with residential houses on the other side of the freeway. Now that's become okay because of the freeway. Then it was 500. I'm at a point now where I feel like it's a personal attack against me because, Mayor, you've decided to make it 600 feet. And that just puts the property completely out of what can be used. You need to have some respectable dispensaries in San Bernardino. Having a dispensary in the same building as a strip club is not respectable for San Bernardino. I'm sorry. You need to have decent place for these people to go. I have a personal friend that worked for me. in his 70s, not able to get more than an hour or two of sleep at night, and Mark helps him. The guy gets 7 and 8 hours of sleep now. He's had cancer. He's had toes removed from diabetes. I'm ex-military. Zero tolerance for drugs. I have no desire to use it and no need to use, but other people do. So you need to figure out how to get some decent, and even if, at this point, even if it's not my property, you need to get something respectable established in the community. And definitely, like I said, not in a strip club. That's ridiculous. I'm embarrassed of what's going on in the city. I'm done. And I apologize. I know it's not an attack, but I feel like it's, at this point, I'm doing all I can. And I shut down my business to be able to have him move in. So we need to come to some kind of resolution for the industry. Anyways, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kaiser Ahmed.
Honorable Mayor, Honorable City Council members, members of the public. My name is Kaiser Ahmed. I'm a retired school teacher and lifetime member of NEA. I also taught community colleges, including San Bernardino Valley College, for 32 years. I'm a candidate for U.S. Congress on June 5th, and I'm running because some issues are bothering me a lot. And I'm not into labels, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, those things don't turn me on really. I'm on issues. And these are federal issues, but these affect everybody who's a citizen of the United States. First of all is Medicare for all. I really believe incrementally we should cover all people through Medicare. It has been covering me. I'm a senior citizen. The senior citizens have been covered for 50 years. There's no reason people 55 to 65 could not be covered, and eventually all people, irrespective of their pre-existing conditions. That's one thing. I know for the dental portion, people are going to Mexico. I actually traveled to Tijuana, and I found out in the first 2 blocks there are 13 dentists. 75 to 78% of their clients come from the United States because they can't afford it. And at my age, we need dental work. Next, DACA. I want a clean DACA. I don't want any wall. If some people want to build walls, they can build with their own money. There are people who have billions, they can build it. But we want clean DACA. These people grew up over here. I actually met some people who are in law enforcement. They're serving in the U.S. Army. I cannot morally kick out people from the Army who have been defending this nation. Third one, this is a very important one, and William kind of opened my eyes a little bit, the veterans. 50% of the $700+ billion defense budget goes to the defense contractors. Lockheed alone in 2017 made close to $30 billion, while the men and women under uniform get 1.25% raise. This is immoral. And the veterans with PTSD, 840,000 of them. We haven't even solved our previous wars, and we're already inching to go to another war, maybe 2. While I see my time is running out, so I'm going to wrap up over here. What can I do? I'll be your voice. I'll be accessible. You can get my telephone number. I will answer within 24 hours. I'll bring you money. And if I can't bring you more money, I will give part of my own salary, at least $300 per month.
Mr. Ahmed, your time's expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fiorella Pedra.
Hello, and thank you. I'm going to be talking about the shelter as a citizen and a teacher here in our district. My name is Fiorella Piedra, and I wanted to give you a little background on myself before I start. I have lived in San Bernardino Highland area since 1985. I attended school in our city, graduated from San Bernardino High School. I have purchased a home in our city. I have worked for our school district for 16 years. And actually, some of you guys have seen from part of our career days, there are other things that we've had at Riley or at Kimbark. Sophie, Summer, Cosmo, Buster, Daisy, Rocky, Trouble, Colin. Those have all been dogs since I grew up here that I've adopted from the city shelter. They've all been family members. Love them as my own little kids because we were kids too at the same time. Some of them grew up with us. Summer and Cosmo ended up being 2 therapy dogs that I raised and trained, and they worked in our community. Ruby and Dunn have been 2 foster dogs that I started fostering back in November, and they've been pulled from our shelters also. I love our city, and I love our dogs. I know our city has had its ups and downs. During our foreclosure crisis, I had students, they all knew that I love dogs. Dogs were getting dumped at our school. I had kids telling me that they had a neighbor who had their house foreclosed and there was a dog in their backyard. And so at the end of the day, we'd go over there and we'd get the dog. I'd talk to the neighbors. We'd go see if it was chipped. Back then, really, we didn't have many people chipping dogs, especially in that area. And this was off of Waterman and the 210. I took in dogs. A lot of our other teachers ended up adopting some of those dogs. And some of them, unfortunately, we couldn't find anyone. And at the time, I didn't know about these wonderful ladies who did rescues. And I ended up taking them to the shelter. I just couldn't leave a dog starving in the backyard. And I'm afraid that will happen where dogs will be thrown again at our schools. At every school I've taught at, dogs follow children. They end up on our campuses. We don't know how that happens. Staff at our school will tie up the dog. We'll hold on to it in a room if we can. We post on Facebook, take pictures, write it on the Nextdoor app. We call animal control as our last resort around 2 o'clock. But my question to you is, what happens if those dogs end up going to Riverside and we call at 2? Will they be able to make it to our school sites that close at 4:30 to pick up that dog and take it back to Riverside? What if their dog, the dog control car is already full with dogs? Will they be able to turn it back around and make it back before clock out time? And then, if that happens, what are we going to do with our students? How are we going to tell them, hey, sorry, the dog's going to stay here because we don't have funds and we don't care about them? Remember, we're teaching our students, and what we do is what they're going to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Babcock.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, those that are here. Remember a couple of years ago, we had the people, the crazies from the animal control, the people that would coming and just blasting our city council. It was a mess. We now have wonderful people that are here making an effort to help our animals. Mayor, back in 2014 or 2015, I think you've only asked me 2 favors in the time that I have known you. Now, I ask people all the time. You said, we need somebody decent on City Animal Control Commission. And I said, well, my best friend is Cassie Levy, and Cassie's Levy right now is watching from Paducah, Kentucky. And she didn't know if she wanted to do it or not, but she went and she checked out the Animal Control Center, and she says it needs a lot of help, but she says, number 1, I just rescued a dog, and number 2, she agreed to be on the Animal Control Commission. She made a tremendous difference, and Cassie, I miss you very much. You made a difference. I go over to Redlands, to the RE/MAX, very often. One of my best friends, Hilda Wentland, is an amazing realtor. And I was always running into this crazy woman over there, this Janine, who all she talked about was, let's save the animals, let's start a foundation. And she is just like a pit bull, a pit bull for the cats. And right now she's looking for a place because they spend $80 a month just on rent, and she's having a fence over that. They went to the airport and they saw $1,500. Well, we'll work with you. She's not going to spend $1,500 a month. There are, at this table, 7 people running for office. 3 for mayor, 3 for council, and 1 for assembly. All those people have money. They can give money to nonprofits. Hit them up. Hit them up. Absolutely. They spend some stupid money on certain things, like ball games, etc. I'm trying to behave. Not really. Virginia Marquez, you have been a help. You have been a help. Josie Gonzalez, you used to say that the first thing you did back in my more outlandish days was to wake up in the morning and see what the heck did Barbara Babcock write on Facebook. Well, you love the animals at DeVore, but we need to take care of our own. And I love the idea that you guys are looking at having a forum for let's do this. Let's take care of our own. We love San Bernardino, and our animals deserve the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Smith. Jim Smith.
Jim's birthday today? Thought that was my introduction on it. Good timing. Worthy mayor, city council people, and audience. My name is Jim Smith, and I've been, I actually originally moved here in 1944 and went away for a couple of years to Lake Arrowhead, but came back to San Bernardino because that's where my love is. I wanted to compliment a couple people this morning, certainly the city manager's office and Rebecca for all the work she's done. They combined 2 commissions that make a lot of sense. That was the Fine Arts Commission and the Historical Preservation Commission. And I want to thank the council for accepting the change of the wording at the last council meeting. I think that makes a lot of sense, and looking forward to working with those great people. I wanted to make a very important announcement on April 21st. The Service Council, which last year worked on Pioneer Cemetery, is now working with the neighborhood groups. We're meeting at 7 o'clock for sign-up, 7 o'clock sign-up, and we'll be going to different areas at 8 o'clock in the morning next Saturday morning. It's in conjunction with Arbor Day, with the city, to beautify the city of San Bernardino. We'll be planting trees and also helping in different areas throughout the city of San Bernardino. We did have a wonderful forum yesterday at the Rotary Club in San Bernardino. And I want to thank the Sun and the other local newspapers for covering that forum. I thought it was extremely important. We had 6 of the 7 candidates running for mayor, and it was done very professionally, and I want to thank all of the candidates for coming out and participating. I also want to mention something that's very near to my heart. On July 21st, the Santa Fe Depot here in San Bernardino, and if anybody doesn't know about railroads in San Bernardino, the history of railroads, they'll be able to come out. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary in the city of San Bernardino. This should be a red letter day. I know the Native Sons and the Pioneer Society are working together to present a very important plaque for that event. And last but certainly not least, if any candidates want to walk in mobile home parks, please get the permission of the owner of the mobile home park. It's extremely important. We need to run professional campaigns here in the city of San Bernardino. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to our consent calendar. Councilman Mulvihill?
I have none, Your Honor.
Councilmember Richard?
I have none.
Councilmember
No, sir.
Valdivia?
Number 21, sir.
Councilmember Barrios?
None, sir.
Councilmember Marquez?
None, Your Honor.
Move the balance.
Thank you. For the record, I will be recusing myself from item number 16 based on a campaign contribution conflict.
Oh, sorry. Not paying attention. Super the switch, sorry.
On the consent calendar, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia and the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and the item passes 6-0 with Mr. Nichol absent.
Thank you. Item number 21 is an agreement with Southern California Edison for energy efficiency light fixture replacement rate. This is to adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino authorizing an agreement between the City of San Bernardino and Southern California Edison for the Schedule LS1 Option E energy efficient light emitting diode LED fixture replacement rate agreement. Alex?
Yes. Oh, you have a question? Okay.
I'd like to hear.
Oh.
He's prepared for.
Okay. This item. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item before you tonight is to adopt the resolution authorizing agreement between the City of San Bernardino and Edison for energy efficient light emitting LED fixtures replacement on the lights that owned by Edison. Currently in the City of San Bernardino there is about 14,100 street lights. 7,000 of them is owned and maintained by the City of San Bernardino, and the 7,100 are owned and operated, maintained by Southern California Edison. Edison have offered the Schedule LS1 Option E, which is applies to the street lights in a way that they will get grants from the state to replace all the fixtures that we have within the city. So a lot of cities has been asked to join the agreement, and everybody is doing it right now. So this is just for them to, whenever they get the grants, money, is to change the fixture that we have within the city, which is the most complaint that we get from the city residents, where the Edison streets are owned, that they're not operational.
Thank you. And this is for these SCE-owned
Yes,
lights?
only for the Southern California Edison owned lights, exactly.
And could you explain the premium that's applied over the 20 years?
For the premium, for the
Efficiency premium?
We are saying, in the 20 years, there is approximately about $57,250 will be saved on the replacement for these lights.
And that's after the premium is applied?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that's after the premium is applied, yes.
And there's also a decision to be made relative to the type of lighting that will be emitted that still is yet to be determined, and whether it's 4,000 or above.
Edison will change the light what's existing right now with the same.
They will match.
They will match what they have.
They'll match what they have?
Yes.
So if it's amber or the brighter white light, whatever is currently emitted, that's what will be replaced.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Councilman Valdivia?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to highlight the energy efficiency of this resolution. This is a very important item here in our community, and the cost-benefit analysis on my end is that we are saving not only dollars, but we're also impacting the bottom line for our city taxpayers. I want to salute our staff members for reaching out and making this possible. For many, many years, I have been advocating, my position on streetlights has always been that we need to go the LED route. The Cobra light heads, as I understand it, are a simple fix. If we somehow gut out the Cobra head, that there's a kit sold in, across many electrical distributor providers that we can do that on our own lights. So my question to you, or Ms. City Manager, is this, we're talking about two items here. We're talking about rates, a rate adjustment, and a more fee-friendly pay rate for the taxpayer, which is us, the client. So that's my question. Can you clarify this issue? Because I think it's a little confusing. Is this more of a rate-based issue, or is this also a Cobra head replacement program?
It's both, and this is just on the SCE poles that we do not own, city does not own. We can
Okay.
look into that separately for this program. So we'll be paying a premium, correct?
That's correct.
We're paying a premium to cover the capital cost of replacing these heads for a period of time, but the savings from the energy covers that cost.
Sure. So it is a both. We get a reduced rate, a better rate, because we're on this LED fixture, and then also at the same time, we have capital investment on the Cobra head being replaced. And who handles that replacement? Is it Edison and Edison Cruz, or a subcontractor that is performing that work?
It will be done by Edison or any contractor that approved by Edison.
Okay. And do we have a time frame as to when that implementation process, will it take 1 year, 2 years? Is it staggered over 5 years? What is the timeline in which these Cobra heads will be replaced?
According to the agreement that we have, it will be done within 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
2 years. My understanding is that they did a pilot testing in several areas of the city. Is that your understanding, that the LED Cobra heads, they have pilot tested it in various parts of the city, and it's a go? And so would those pilot test areas also be impacted with the retrofit change-out, or are those Cobra heads also, will they remain as a pilot test zone?
The agreement cover all lights owned by California Edison.
So I want to encourage, yeah, thank you. I want to encourage our city residents, if you have a burnt-out street light, and if it's particularly on a wood pole, that's typically an Edison pole.
Yes.
Concrete, resin, or some other type of steel pole is typically city-owned, and I encourage people to call the appropriate individuals. As I understand it, we also can petition various intersections, crosswalks, safety areas, other areas, Edison-based, having that access with the government affairs rep. I was on a trip with him and enjoyed conversing on some of those ideas of how we can implement safety zones in alleyways and in intersections in some of our dimly lit corridors across the city. There's an application process, and that's an interesting and inspiring way on how we can combat crime and issues. My final point is that as we integrate, and I'm talking more to our public works team, as we integrate the future for our city, I think it's important that we have the brighter lights. I know that we don't want to have various lights in our city. I think there is some good work being done as far as a cohesive color of light, but there is studies showing, white paper studies showing, that the degree of that light color has an impact on criminal suppression and an impact on the safety of neighborhoods. So I just encourage you guys to look into that, advocate for a safer, brighter light, and we appreciate what you've done. Move for approval on this.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please submit your votes.
On item 21, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and the item passes 6-0.
Thank you. That concludes consent calendar. We will now move to staff reports. The first staff report is item number 26. It's the legislative program policy and procedures and the 2018 legislative and regulatory platform. Adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino establishing the legislative platform, program policy and procedures, and the 2018 legislative and regulatory platform for the City of San Bernardino. Assistant City Manager.
Yes, Mayor.
Rebecca Kramer has drafted this program for you to consider. We're hoping that it'll help us be able to react quickly to legislation that impacts the city. As you know, in the last council meeting, we had 3 items. It took time. It took time to come back to you. So it's not that we don't want your input. We want your input, and Rebecca will explain what the process will be. We just want to be able to react quicker to legislation that impacts the city. So I'll give Rebecca time to explain how this platform would work.
Mayor, members of the council, the legislative and regulatory platform as it's been presented to you this evening has been developed based on guiding principles and best practices set forth by the League of California Cities and based on your established 2018-19 goals and objectives related to both our federal and state legislative issues. The process that has been proposed for your consideration is when an item comes before a staff member or any of you for that matter that you would like the city to take a stand on in terms of response, that the city staff would draft a position letter for your consideration. It would be distributed to each of you for review with a response time frame. If there are no objections, that we would proceed with issuing that letter to the state or federal government, depending on the issue that is presented. If there is an objection, that item would be agendized and brought back before the council at a regular council meeting.
Thank you. And the basis of the opposition or support would be based on the legislative regulatory platform that's established on packet page 543, correct?
Yes.
So that would be the guiding principle that you would adopt.
That is correct. So it would have to be something that would fall within one of those areas in terms of context for us to bring before. If it was something that was outside of that, it would, without question, need to be brought back before the council at an open meeting. It's intended that this would be something that we update on an annual basis, so you'll be adopting the legislative platform for this year, but as we progress in years to come, I'm sure there will be adjustments that you will want to make. So this is something that we would bring back to you each and every year so that you adopt the legislative platform that is reflective of where we are.
Thank you. Councilman?
No, never mind.
Never mind? Oh. Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Kramer, I really do appreciate our city staff taking a very proactive, reactive role here on what council has recommended to staff. I have been a long proponent that our city needs to have legislative priorities. And so this only allows city staff to be at the forefront of some of these issues per our recommendation. Legislative priorities are both integral part of community policy and provides an overview on reactions to either federal government or state or local county issues. And my particular concern is that we have lacked that. So I'm glad to see this. It formulates a good position and a response to many of our, issues coming forward before us. But it also provides, I think, it allows us to respond for grants and for other avenues. I don't necessarily think that this is just one. We should stranglehold this opportunity. I think that if there are grants that fit these 5 priorities and the platforms that are in the packet page, this also should and be inclusive of grant and funding opportunities. I know that last Friday I was at a policy hearing at an ad hoc policy committee appointed from the League of California Cities in Pomona, and I heard a lot of funding and housing grants, and my eyes and ears perked up as I was hearing and assessing the opportunities that we either A, can trip and fall and not claim, but I'm glad to see this. This is really good, and I'll be supporting this. This is a good job, and I hope that it'll allow for some freedom and flexibility. My question is, who will determine that response? How is that going to be funneled through city manager's office? Should we request a simple email or phone call to Andrea or Terry on, hey, we need to either look at this, study this, help us as council members abide by this good practice, and how do we make that request known to staff so we can issue either a policy update or a letter of some sort?
Sure. It would work exactly the same. If you were to contact Andrea or I, we would do the same thing. We would draft a letter. We would run through this process so that all the council members see the letter and agree to it before we send it out. Same process, whether it was staff initiated or council initiated.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Well, the council authority would like to ask that the city attorney take a look at, in regard to the platform, there's a Senate Bill 54 that I think should probably be looked at in terms of whether or not the city wants to take a position on that. Thank you.
On item 26, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette and the second by Mr. Mulvihill. Although I think I heard you, Mr. Valdivia, was that? Okay, then I'll change that. The second by Mr. Valdivia, and the item passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next is item number 27. This is amendment to the city's conflict of interest code to adopt a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of San Bernardino and the mayor and city of council of the city of San Bernardino acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency, authorizing amended resolution number 2018-14 in Appendix A and amending the city's conflict of interest code. We have a motion and a second. Please submit your votes.
On item 27, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and the item passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next is item number 28. Item number 28 is a report on the third annual Arts Fest. The wrap-up report by Mr. Mark Persico.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and council members. I will try to make this brief, but we had a very exciting Art Fest last month. I would like to briefly go through the goals, and these were goals that the council established 3 years ago when the program started. And really the idea is how the city of San Bernardino can use the arts to rebuild the community, both a sense of community pride from an economic development standpoint and as well as a job creation standpoint. So I believe we've been able to accomplish that over the last 3 years. Additionally, over the last 3 years, we've also been able to build very strong partnerships. We've got the former Fine Arts Commission, now the Arts and Historic Preservation Commission that has been involved. The City School District has been a phenomenal partner in this, as well as Valley College, the two consulates, which are just across the street from City Hall, as well as the Parks and Recreation Department. Everybody's really been very involved in this. I've got a couple of photographs from the recent event highlighting the arts that took place. Recap of the event: it was held at 66er Stadium. It was open to students as well as community-based artists. We're really trying to get people from first of all, the city of San Bernardino, secondly, the county of San Bernardino, and then third is Riverside County. There were a total of 80 artists there, and that include dance troupes, visual artists, and bands, as well as food trucks, and there were approximately 4,600 people that attended the event. Again, more photographs of the event, as well as the artists themselves. This is, we had a stage there, really a phenomenal stage. We had programming on that stage. The mayor was there, gave introductory remarks at the beginning of the event, and that stage was programmed from noon till 9 p.m. There was $25,000 that was budgeted as part of the Community Development Department budget for the event. The event costs were a little over $20,000, so we were $4,800 under budget, which is always a good thing. In conclusion, the third annual Arts Fest was a huge success, and it really does prove that the community will support high-quality community-based events. It really does help to create a thriving sense of community, and we've already kicked off planning for the 2019 event. We will be returning to the council in June or July with more details, and the event will again be held at 66er Stadium. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much. I do agree that it was a very successful event and appreciate staff being very attentive to all of the details. I also want to compliment you on your tie tonight. It looks like it.
Thank you.
It's very much of fine art.
Thank you very much. Usually it's the city attorney that's commenting on my ties, but thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
It's very appropriate. Thank you. Any other comments? All right. Thank you. This is receive and file. We appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Next item is a public hearing. This public hearing is now open. Recommendation to introduce for the first reading an ordinance of the Mayor of City Council adopting the categorical exemption and approving Development Code Amendment 18-01 to amend Chapter 19.06 of the commercial zones, Table 6.01. Commercial zones listed of permitted, development permitted, and conditionally permitted uses of the City of San Bernardino Development Code to allow veterinary services within animal boarding within the commercial zone CG3, subject to approval of a conditional use permit, attachment number 1. Oliver?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. And if I may, we are working on those introductions, so the not a long biography or dissertation that you'd read on the introduction. So we're working on shortening those down. But in any event, this item involves the shops at Glen, the shopping center, which is across the street from the university. It's been a project that's been constructed over phases, and this involves the final building of that project that's going to be constructed. The item before you it essentially involves one of the new tenants that will be going into that remaining building, and in order to accommodate that, we require a development code amendment and a conditional use permit. The development code amendment portion of it is within the C3 zone, boarding is allowed. Veterinary services are permitted, but boarding is not allowed because of the structure of the proposal under the conditional use permit. It's going to be veterinary services, and there are some procedures that require overnight stay or maybe a couple of days afterwards, depending on the procedure that's done to the animal. So in this particular case, the development code amendment is to amend our permitted uses table to allow for the boarding within that C3 zone. A little bit of analysis on that. Again, as I mentioned, the C3 zone does not allow the boarding portion of it. It is intended for commercial and retail uses, so to speak. I will also note that the C3 zoning classification, the only part of the city that has that designation is where this property is, the property specifically for the shops. That was done to accommodate the overall development, which included the student housing and so forth for the mixed-use project. This is an excerpt of the land use development table. We highlighted with the red box the area that we will change. The way that the code currently reads is that box inside that area is blank, which means it's prohibited. So we are simply adding the C, which would require a conditional use permit for that particular type of application. The conditional use permit, which is 1802, is again to allow for the opening of that veterinary office with animal boarding. It will be within a 4,200 square foot tenant space of the new building that will be constructed. I will add that those construction drawings are in the process, and they should be completing and getting their issuance of their building permit probably within the next few weeks. So they'll be ready to break ground on that part of the project. As it relates to the proposed services, their hours of operations will be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., on Saturdays from 8 to 1, and they will be closed on Sundays. We will have approximately 20 employees, 6 per shift, and again, the overnight boarding will be only for those that are under treatment at the facility. This is an aerial of the property. That's where the center occupies that entire site, and those are the same boundaries of the C3 zone that we are under. These are some photographs of the development of the center, some of the other shops.
It's a great project. I move approval.
Not going to let me finish?
No.
Thank you.
We have a question from Councilmember Mulvihill.
Yes, I have a question. The
pet boarding will be associated with medical procedures. I mean, it's not like it's going to be a pet resort.
That's correct.
Okay. Because I take Fred to a pet resort.
My babies go to a resort
Not
also.
me. Clarify that, would you?
Yes, please.
Please clarify that.
I'm looking to go take Fred.
That's, my dog is named Fred. And he goes to a pet resort, so, but not, this is for long term. This is,
Does that conclude your comments?
thank you, Oliver.
You're
Yes, it
welcome.
does.
Councilmember Marquez?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Mulvihill. I can certainly appreciate that. I have Dora Linda. She's my daughter. Anyway, it's more of a comment. I really wholeheartedly support this project because I think that the students and the general neighborhood in that area won't have to travel. They won't have to get on the freeway. I think the closest vet office would be Rialto, and of course you have to take the 210 or go into San Bernardino or Highlands. So this is just the perfect spot. And I'm glad to see that there'll be employment opportunities for the community, and we're growing. We're the city on the move.
We are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. City Clerk, are there any speaker slips for this item?
On item 25, the motion was made by Mr.
Were there any speaker slips?
No, sir.
Thank you.
We have them all. On item 29, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette and the second by Mr. Valdivia, and the item passes 6-0.
Thank you. Public hearing is now closed. The next item is item 30A, quasi-judicial hearing. The motion is to continue the public hearing.
We're just continuing it one more time at the request of the applicant to May 2nd.
Thank you. Do we need to take action on that? Do we have a motion?
Move to continue.
We have a motion and a second by Councilmember Richard. Has everybody voted?
On item 30, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette and the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and the item passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next is item number 31. This is also a quasi-judicial hearing. This hearing is now open. It's to adopt a resolution approving conditional permit 18-01 for a temporary cannabis event from April 20th, 2018 to April 22nd, 2018 at the National Orange Show pursuant to San Bernardino Municipal Code Section 5.10.060B. Anyone wanting to speak on this, please stand. We have 2 speaker slips. Please be sworn in. Mr. Pisico?
Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a request to conduct a cannabis event at the National Orange Show this upcoming weekend, pursuant to the city's recently adopted ordinance, which was codified as Chapter 5.10. It covers all commercial cannabis activity, including temporary events. And this event at the Orange Show this weekend would require a temporary permit from this, be approved by the City Council before they could actually conduct the event. We have a series of conditions that have been imposed on the event if the event goes forward, and Staff at this point doesn't necessarily have a recommendation. If the council would like to go forward and approve this event, we have a suggested set of conditions that would apply to the event.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Presico? Not, we will now hear from the public. William Ciosi? Yes.
Thank you again. Let me try and get real quick to the page where I'd already posted the pertinent information. As I was starting to say earlier, the State Bureau had released a memo yesterday regarding unlicensed cannabis events, or even licensed, because a Prop 215 cannabis event under state law is illegal. High Times and the NAS, they've been collectively violating the city ban ordinance for a number of years and have made millions of dollars while violating the city's ban. And now that licensing is required, they actually required this license to be turned into the state no less than 60 days prior to the event. So what you're being asked to do is either help them skirt the law by providing a license at the last minute, or maybe I guess you'd have to deny them. That seems to me the only thing to do. Section 5601 of the state regulations regarding temporary cannabis event licenses, when we get down to paragraph D, it says, an application for temporary cannabis event license shall be submitted to the Bureau no less than 60 days before the first day of the cannabis event. An application for a temporary cannabis event license shall include the following. And when we get down to point 8, it says written approval from the local jurisdiction authorizing the applicant to engage in on-site cannabis sales and on-site consumption by persons 21 years of age or older at the event. Again, because Prop 215 events, medical events, are illegal. This has to be a adult use event. That's what it is. High Times is already advertising. If you go to their Facebook page right now, attention, the SoCal Cup will feature a Prop 215 medicating area for everyone 18 and over. So they're already flaunting that they're going to violate the city's bans or ordinances again in the face of the city. LA Times yesterday, while many Californians have been issued medical approval to sell or use marijuana, the law does not allow them to participate in unlicensed events, and also refers to Prop 215 events. And then even in the city municipal code 5.10.060, it says that the mayor and city council to issue a conditional permit for commercial cannabis activities authorized under Prop 215 and the medical marijuana program. But
Mr. Ciosi, your time's expired. Could you please wrap up?
I would say that you have to deny this to fulfill the law. They were to have this already submitted to the state, and they're asking for it at the last minute. Even if you grant it to them, they will still be in violation of the law.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Samin Ahmad.
Good evening, Mayor and honorary members of the council. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I work for High Times. I was previously working for them for 3 years and recently took a hiatus for some family time, and they had asked me to come back to this event about a week ago. So I apologize that I am still catching up on certain things, but I've worked for this company for a very long time and done events, countless events, over 8 of them at the National Orange Show. They've been super successful for the patients, been super successful for the National Orange Show, super successful for my team of 60 production temporary staff that I employ from this area and throughout the country, and more so all the hotel rooms that we book in your city, all the hotel rooms that we book in the county, all of the restaurants that we spend money at, and we've been very, very thankful of how nice you guys have been to us, and we really hope that you can pass the vote for this event. We want to work together with you as we have for many years. We want to learn how to work with these new rules and regulations and do everything as partners. We've been here for a very, very long time. We're the leader in the industry. We're a community ourselves, as are you, and we'd like to band together and do it properly. And if we've made any sort of mistakes in certain things, we'd love to be able to correct those and do them properly. But you can't deny the fact that this event has been a tremendous, tremendous economic impact for your city and the surrounding neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Olivas. Ms. Olivas, could you fill out a speaker slip for this?
Thank you. I'm sorry. This event is going to start on Friday the 20th, correct? What about the businesses on Arrowhead that you're going to cut off? I work for U-Haul. Our MCO is right there. That's where we repair all the trucks for the whole county of San Bernardino and parts of Riverside. If they put up barriers, they don't let us in and out. They don't let us in and out. My boss is not aware of this. I'm texting him about this right now. What are we going to do? You're going to shut us down. Because the last event that happened at the Orange Show, they blocked off Arrowhead, and they wouldn't let us back in to move our trucks. And this is a Friday at the end of the month. People are moving. Okay? So you need to think about that as well. I mean, I've tried to talk to people about, shutting down that section. Plus, there's a trucking company over there. For an event that should have already been approved by the state. You need to think about those businesses. We employ 60 people there. And if we have to shut down for one day, that means everybody we can't even come in on Saturday or Sunday to work because they'll still be there. And when they come in, they block off all of Benedict, all of Central. We can't get in and out. And I don't think that's fair to us. This MCO, this garage, we own the property. U-Haul owns the property. But it's not taking the businesses that are here 7 days a week into consideration. If you grant this on a Friday to shut down? No. And I'll text my boss and let him know what you guys decide to do so we know what to do. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Charette.
How is it that I assume Sandra's talking about she's talking about the organizers. How is it that they are able to shut down streets without city support on that, if that is indeed the case?
I'll let the chief talk about traffic.
And Chief, I'll let you respond. I'll go ahead with my next kind of question.
Yeah, so let me address this incident. I've asked our staff. We've had our special events team working with the organizers on this to plan what our response will be. I don't have the exact plan in front of me, so I don't know what the traffic plan is right now, but rest assured there is one in place, and I'll be having staff follow up on it first thing in the morning. And we will follow up on the concerns and do everything we can to mitigate it. I don't know that we're closing any streets for this event. I don't know that right now. I do know that streets get closed on the very large-scale electronic music festivals that they hold down there because of the sheer size of the crowd. And in those cases, it is part of a traffic plan that has been approved by the city to shut the street down to protect the crowds and stuff that start to gather. Now, we know that it's a sensitive issue, And it's part of discussions that we're having with the National Orange Show and with those promoters to find a way to start to mitigate those impacts as we move forward. But it is something we're sensitive to.
So my question is, the promoters cannot shut down a street without our approval.
Yeah, somebody
correct? I mean,
can't,
so they've
somebody
got to
can't just
submit
go
a
out
plan.
there and put up a barricade and close down a street
And
unless
so a
we've
business
approved it.
like U-Haul certainly probably would be impacted at the very least, but not necessarily completely closed down or shut down. Is that correct? Or
Well,
certainly I wouldn't want to see that.
I do know that the intent of our staff, and I realize that this has probably happened, but I know that the intent of our staff is to do this in the way that mitigates the impact as much as possible to the businesses and the residents. To some extent, though, on some of those, and again, not speaking about this event, but the very large-scale events that take place that have 60, 70, 80,000 people over the course of a weekend. On those particular events, sometimes it's just not possible to not do certain road closures to protect, just the volume of people that are there.
Okay, and my, I think, last question is it possible that this event would go on, I guess, illegally without our permitting it because of the National Orange Show and their, I guess, somewhat belief that they're not under our jurisdiction? Is that a possibility? And if they went on without our approval, then we have to shut them down, right? That's going to be a huge impact on our city if they went on without us giving them our approval. Is that correct? I mean, you get the gist of my question.
I absolutely do, and I think Stephen Graham can speak to it from a legal standpoint, but I can tell you the event could still go on. The concert could still go on. It's how it relates to the cannabis that we're permitting. Stephen, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Stephen Graham, Deputy City Attorney. That's certainly an enforcement option available to the city. City Attorney's Office has worked with the police department to outline the enforcement abilities of the city in the event that an unpermitted cannabis event did go on. I can tell you that shutting down an event would be the most drastic step that the city would take because of the sheer impact it would have on the attendees of the festival who've bought tickets in good faith, upon the police department, which requires significant manpower to achieve that, and upon the city, which would likely then be engaged in significant and costly litigation to follow. That isn't to say that it's not something we aren't prepared to do, but it would be the final resort. I can tell you that the permit that you have in front of you has been crafted to follow the maximum restrictions that you have adopted under Chapter 5.10 to minimize the threats to public health and safety from having an event like this.
And the cost to provide security and what have you is in that permit, a minimum and a maximum amount. And without approving the permit, if the thing went on, we would have costs that we would then not be recovering any revenue.
The permit is intended at the very minimum to cover our hard costs of public safety. So there is a $80,000 figure in there that is based on an estimate from the police department. There is an additional provision that the actual cost of the city must be paid no matter what. That's intended in case there are extraordinary legal services. And then finally, based on calculations and discussions with the promoter, a third addition of $7.50 per ticket, which is very common for cities that hold events, to base the fee on the actual attendance, because our costs go up as more people show up, as the chief explained. Whichever is the greater of those three, they're not all together and added together. Whichever is the greater is the one that is actually charged by the city.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of comments. I'm looking at a bond be placed in the contract to make sure of the cleanup afterward that takes place, to assure that. And now with Sandra Olivas's comments, maybe the bond should cover any lost business because of street closures, unauthorized street closures. I'm thinking the amount of money involved with that bond, I'm at, $500,000, $600,000, something like that, that would cover any kind of lost business that might occur because of street closures that might occur. But basically, I think just the cleanup operation, ensure that that takes place. And the second point I'd like to make is that, and I think $750 is, the least we could ask. And the reality is, obviously, cannabis is a Schedule I, and there's not very much, there's no federal research that takes place because of it. But there's more and more research indicating that there's really health issues. And so the point is, we're having an event, presumably fostering cannabis use, medical and recreational and so forth. We really should have a linkage developed, that there should be a charge made so that the city could also allow programs through Jim Tickmeyer, through Parks and Recreation for health. And maybe I could ask you that if you could come up and just, what I'm suggesting is that maybe it's too late to deal with it at this event. But the point is, there's a direct linkage, and an obvious linkage, between the health problems associated with cannabis and also the promotion of health. And there should be a linkage between them. Mr. Tickmeyer, you've sponsored programs to encourage healthful lifestyles, sports, and so forth. If we developed a linkage fee and provided Parks and Recreation, what kinds of programs might you be able to develop that would, promote health, a healthy living?
There's several different types of programming that are tied into healthy lifestyle living, nutritional programs, drug aversion programs, getting our youth involved in public service, volunteerism at an earlier age, providing them those avenues to find better routes to being productive adults at an earlier age. That type of funding would be helpful in providing needed resources, necessary resources to go out and either bring in contract providers that provide that type of service, or to bring on additional staff that we can train and we can educate on providing those services.
Thank you. No, that's exactly the issue that I'm talking about. And I want to be assured that in the future, in this development agreement that we have with the Orange Show and so forth, that there will be an additional linkage fee associated with, to balance out, again, the health problems and health benefits, and particularly earmarked for Parks and Recreation and programs in Parks and Recreation. And also the bond. Those two issues need to be addressed. And the bond needs to be addressed in this event. Thank you.
Councilmember Valdivia.
Thank you. What is the analysis or reaction from, the city attorney's office regarding the application timing? There was a suggestion here made, or a comment made, that there was a need to apply for the permit 60 days prior to the event happening. So if that is the case, how is this inconsistent with state law, and would we in fact be somehow aiding and abetting in this? How do we reconcile the state law versus the permit processing here?
So what we have to look at here is there are obviously different levels of government that exist in this country. We have a local permitting scheme, which we're... the bulb is out, but yeah, no, we're okay. I was about to pontificate about federalism, but I'll just stop. There are different levels of permitting that are required. Mr. Cioci is quite correct. Under the state regulations that are for temporary cannabis events, adult use cannabis events, they are required to submit that application to the state 60 days prior to the event. And as part of that application, they need to demonstrate evidence that they have the approval of the local entity in which that event is going to occur. That process is contemplated in Section 510060C, where we have stated that temporary cannabis events, those adult use events, will be permitted at state fairgrounds with a development agreement. I can tell you that those negotiations for having that development agreement are ongoing. City manager is leading that, and they have been productive, at least the parts that I've been in. They did not have time to get a development agreement in place. It's a very long process. It has to go before the Planning Commission. There's significant negotiation that occurs. And there's a public hearing before the City Council, a first and second reading. Then it goes into place 30 days after that. So in order to have this event, they had to take it from an adult use event, and under the city's code, the only way they could have that was to have it's called a Prop 215 event. So that was the method under the city's ordinance that they could get a local permit where they're not going to be violating our ordinance by holding the event. That's critically important to them because under our ordinance, if you violate our ordinance, you cannot apply for an ordinance, or you cannot apply for a permit in the future. That is the critical question for them. Now, they may have issues with the state. The Bureau of Cannabis Control sent out an email yesterday, very well-timed email, that said the state's position, the Bureau of Cannabis Control's position, is that state licensees cannot sell or distribute cannabis at a temporary event that is not licensed by the state. Because it's a Prop 215 event, they're not going to be getting a state license. So that's a long way of saying that they may have issues with the state depending on how the state interprets their own regulations and their own statutes. I don't work for the Attorney General of the state of California, so I don't know how they're going to interpret that ordinance, and I don't know how they're going to enforce it. I can tell you that the permit that you have in front of you is the only viable method of complying with our local ordinance on the time frame that we have here.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Graham. This is an issue that I will not be supporting. I cannot, in good conscience, continue to the National Orange Show is a great partner. It's a long-standing community member. I have had, as a representative for my district in the National Orange Show within my boundaries, I have over the years advocated that we have ongoing community meetings and discussions with National Orange Show. I promoted the idea that partnership and collaboration during the off-peak season to address some of these issues are and should be handled and addressed. I can't support this tonight. I will be voting no. I would like to move to deny it. This is in direct conflict with the state policy, and I cannot support it tonight.
Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel like my hands are tied on this because it's being shoved down our throats at the very last minute, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'd like to ask the young lady from High Times if she can come up to the podium. Can you explain to me why you're coming to us, 3 days before the event? Today's a Wednesday, and this event's scheduled for Friday?
Absolutely. So there has been, on our discussions with the state, specifically the BCC, there's been a tremendous amount of confusion as to how this would all play out. It originally was supposed to start at the state level and then move down. And so we apologize that sort of inclination or determination of how this event permitting piece would happen has caused sort of this confusion. Additionally, we've been doing events at the National Orange Show for years and have not had this sort of process that has existed here. So that's why I'm here today to make that process seamless. There were also 2 events that happened already this year under the Prop 215 jurisdiction at the National Orange Show, which were Kushstock and Dabathon, which have already occurred, peaceful events. We feel that we have the ability, or at least would like to be able to do those sort of events as well. The National Orange Show has been a great partner to you. We've been a great partner to them. We'd really like to do this event. We understand that things have changed, and we're working to make sure that we're compliant for those fees. That's why I am standing here right now. That's why we aren't not just going ahead and doing this event. And I appreciate you letting me speak again. And one other issue I wanted to bring up as well was in terms of the road closures. We have never had road closures. We have tremendous amount of traffic that we have put up with, but we deal with it. And the National Orange Show does events that are quadruple the size of ours, that have road closures. Our event does not keep other businesses from conducting their day-to-day. We have deliveries that come in and out through our event. We have people coming in and out of the event, parking. We're very well prepared for those sort of demands.
It's just not the road closures that we're addressing here. As you heard from Sandra Levis, who lives in the First Ward and works in the First Ward. In addition to that, the traffic issues, we're talking about the debris that is spread out through that entire area, East Street, Mill, Esperanza, Huff, Valley, Oak. I can go on and on. Orange Show Road, we're talking about crap on the floor from the attendees. This impacts our businesses, and I'm not okay with that. A lot of these businesses are small and they're struggling, and I will not be supporting this item tonight.
Councilmember Richard?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I agree with my colleagues up here. You know, it's kind of hard to swallow. I'm sitting here and asked to break the law, and it doesn't sit easy with me. And I know that the Orange Show has been a good partner to the city of San Bernardino, and no fault of yours, ma'am, but I know High Time is a very big business, and they've been promoting this event for over 60 days, because that's the only way you're going to sell tickets of that magnitude is to start it early. So the process of getting it approved should have started long before the event was even thought about. So I believe that in the game of dominoes, all money ain't good money. This is money for the city, but that don't mean it's good money. So I'm going to be voting no also, and just that I just really hope that in the future that we think about these things, and I know with companies like yourself, like yours, have attorneys, they have lawyers, and to keep up with the laws. Thank you.
Councilmember Mulvihill?
Yes, it sounds as though we're not going to be voting to approve a permit for this, and so I guess I would like to ask Chief Bergwan, if they don't have a permit, what is the city police going to be doing?
Well, that's a strategy that we're going to have to develop between now and Friday. There's undoubtedly we're going to still have to staff it, and we're still going to have to police it because there's going to be people coming to town, and we'll take care of that, and we will develop the appropriate strategy for enforcing our rules and regulation along with the city attorney's office.
And I guess I'm thinking, if the event still goes on, the bond that I'm asking for, how is that going to be handled?
I like the idea. Good try.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrios?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question to the High Times representative. It doesn't seem like you're going to get the support tonight that you need. Are you guys going to proceed with this event?
I can't answer that question because I do not own the company. I am employed by the company, but I do have an email stated from the Bureau of Cannabis Control that if you were to approve the event, that they would then subsequently approve the event and issue that sort of letter from the state level. So I do ask one last time, implore you guys to reconsider this. We have been your partner for a very long time. There have been events that have gone on this year under the new law that never filed for any of this permit or licensing that you let happen, that were not shut down. We don't want to be in this position. We're the first ones here asking you to do this properly, and we understand the timeline is a little bit stressed. But we've done this for so long. We're asking you to let us do this with you. We're the first ones that have stepped up to the plate to even show up, to even say we've been doing these events, and we want to do it properly. And I can share the email with you from the state saying, if you approve this event, they will approve it as well.
Stephen, would we even consider that if they had some kind of letter from the state saying it was okay?
I've not seen any such letter. I think I'd like the opportunity to review it before I give you any opinion on it. The one point that I didn't make before, and I apologize, was it was effectively impossible to comply with that 60-day deadline. Our ordinance didn't go into effect until April 7th of this month. So we wouldn't have been able to give them any kind of approval until after that date under our ordinance. But that being said, like I said, I have not reviewed this email, I've not seen it, and I don't really feel comfortable giving an opinion on it without doing that.
Thank you. Know that the city we have protocol we got to follow. And we know the relationship we have with the National Honor Show, but there's a process, and it's unfortunate you guys are in this position.
Would
We've
you-
been there many times.
Would you allow me to show you the email?
Just forward it.
It's forwarded to our legal.
Unfortunately, I don't have your email. May I just show it to you? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
City Attorney?
This is just brief, but just while they're doing that, regarding Sandra's concerns, the resolution approving the conditional permit does provide that the proponent shall submit a traffic and parking plan, and that it is subject to the review by the city manager or her designee, and shall either approve, deny, or request modifications to the submittal of the traffic plan. So the city manager does have control over the traffic plan request that's submitted and can request changes in that plan. My suggestion would be, if the council adopts this resolution, that Sandra should probably contact the city manager about her concerns with respect to the plan that they submit. That's just a suggestion, but it does provide for approval of the specifics of the plan. That's on packet page 596 under near the top of the page, D and F. Actually, specifically, it's section 4, subsection 3, D and F.
Excuse me, you're out of order. If you'll please, if you want to speak, we'll give you just a chance in just a minute. All right. Thank you. The Deputy City Attorney is reviewing that now as he walks across the stage.
I'll watch out for the TV. An email has been forwarded to me by the applicant. The email is from Lori Ajax, who is the chief of the Bureau of Cannabis Control, to Kevin Schmidt. It says, if the resolution is adopted...
Who's Kevin Schmidt?
Kevin Schmidt appears to be a person related to the applicant. Perhaps the applicant could identify.
He is a representative and consultant that works on our business with us.
Thank you.
Lori Ajax states that if the resolution, referring to the resolution that is on page 590 of our agenda today, is adopted, that would suffice as local approval for a medical temporary cannabis event license from the Bureau. Please let me know what you need to discuss further and keep me posted. That was sent on April 18th at 4:59 p.m.
Thank you. Councilmember Richard.
Okay, so I went online to look at these tickets, and these tickets have been sold for a while, but online they're not advertising it as medical. And all of these tickets, these VIP tickets that are sold, the VIP seats are sold out. And all of these VIP tickets, they weren't sold under the understanding that you had to have a medical, a license or a medical card to buy this cannabis or deal with it, or however you guys are going to deal with it. So how do you plan on changing that after they've already bought the tickets?
So originally, the message was unclear. We subsequently messaged, and we can subsequently message that again. So we will message everybody exactly the type of patrons that can get in, what your age is, what your California medical license needs to be valid. We'll have checkpoints available for that, and then we will refund anyone that was, we're not taking advantage of anyone, and if that happened, we would refund them, absolutely.
All right. I have a question. You'd indicated that you've not been faced with this condition before. Have you had the need to previously cancel an event?
We have not canceled an event before.
So you're not aware of how to really manage the cancellation of an event?
That's correct. We have always put on successful events.
Thank you. Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'd like to make a substitute motion to move to deny the recommendation here, deny the conditional permit 1801. That would be my substitute motion. for clarification. Say again? So motion to deny this? Is that sufficient for clarification? All right. Okay. So I wanted to just clarify that, Ms. City Clerk. Yep, that's right.
We had a request by one of the speakers to speak.
Mr. Saines, you said that would have been with their permit, for their permit?
Yeah, one of the conditions for the issuance or for allowing them to have the event is they need to submit to the city manager a traffic and parking plan, and then that is subject to her review, approval, or denial, or request for modifications.
Okay, so was one submitted? That's the question.
So while we've been sitting here, I've been communicating with staff. We do have a traffic plan on this. There have been no requests for road closures on this particular event.
Okay. And Mr. Mulvihill, I totally agree, because if people are losing money because of these events at NOS, who's more important? Like I said, who's more important? And NOS needs to come to the table and talk to the city and stop, because personally, I think they're taking advantage of the citizens of the city and the people of that ward and the people and the businesses of that ward when this stuff goes down. Because our business may get notified and they say, oh, we're going to let you through. Ride with me one time and see how easy it is. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a good thing. I'll let my bosses know it's.
Mr. Ciosi?
I just wanted to give my testimony on the question that was asked about High Times being shut down in the past. The first year that High Times came to the Orange Show was on account of them being denied permits in Los Angeles. And when High Times held the United States Cannabis Cup in Colorado, they were denied permits and relocated to the Orange Show. So there are two events that I'm aware of that were shut down, denied permits. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question again for the representative.
Yes, sir.
In the event that the council was to deny the permit, what would be the expected response by High Times or Trans High?
Unfortunately, I cannot make that state that on my own end. We would be obviously very, very disappointed. We've worked with this in this city for a very long time. We have, yes, there have been permits in the past have been denied at events of ours, but well ahead in sort of the planning. And I am in full acknowledgement here that the planning situation is days, hours away, and I know that is not fair to you guys. But at the same time, we have a tremendous amount of fans and people of not only the event, but the city of San Bernardino that are planning on coming to this event. There is also a concert that is associated with this event that doesn't have a cannabis component to it whatsoever, that people are thrilled about. We have nationally recognized acts coming, and this is all associated with the city of San Bernardino. That's where the venue is. That's the advertising on all of the ad materials. So it would just be very, very unfortunate if that was the course.
So the cannabis portion of this would be potentially canceled, but an entertainment concert would potentially still be performed?
I mean, it would be a judgment call for the owner of the company to make. I can't answer that question, but we have spent a lot of money to put on this entire event in its entirety, and it is a cannabis cup. So I can't fail to say that, oh, there's just this concert component. It's a cannabis cup that has music at it. And I also just would say it seems, it would be very unfair to all of those people that have attended all of those cannabis events in 2018 at this venue that now will be denied potentially to be at this event because of a company that's coming to you to try to do the right thing.
And the item that was on the agenda for last time was pulled, I think, at the direction, and
A couple of times.
that would have given you the opportunity to have addressed some of these questions. So, do you have a response for that?
Yes, so as gentlemen sitting down recently had said that the conversations we've been having at the various jurisdictional levels have not given us clear guidance as to how to approach it, and hence that sort of crunch of time as everyone is trying to figure out how this impacts every jurisdiction has been what's kept us from being able to have sort of the right conversation with you guys.
But Proposition 64 passed quite a while ago, and so there was a recognition that things were going to change. And did the leadership take any action to try to conform with those potential changes that were going to be that you were going to be faced with?
Absolutely. We've hired a team that's been working at the state level to understand exactly how these laws will be mandated at an event level, how the taxes are going to be collected for, and making sure that all the businesses are properly licensed and current. We have been very intricate in dealing with the state on a very, very molecular level to get this to a place where everyone is getting what they need from this. So we are 100% trying to be compliant, but we also are in a situation where the Prop 64 event laws were not actually given out for public interpretation until the beginning of this year.
So it would appear then that there was some recognition of the potential risk given the volatility of not only the state, but also the ordinance that the city has recently passed. And it would appear that there should have been a backup plan that would have been put in place in order to potentially have to address and respond to the potential denial of a permit. Do you know if any of that has taken place?
No, because there have been 2 events that have already been held at this venue in a different format under the Prop 215 rules. So the thought process was if that Prop 64 would not be approved, then Prop 215 would be what was happened, because the city has had those 2 events gone on, not shut them down, nor have had any issues. So the fact that now that is changing tonight is alarming and surprising.
But I think one of the council members' comments that was made that the advertising of the event did not necessarily identify it as a medical event. Is that correct?
It did not identify it as a recreational event either.
All right, thank you. No further discussions?
I
Councilman.
just want to make sure that if I hit yes, I'm voting to deny.
To deny the conditional permit. On item 31, the motion was to deny the conditional permit. It was made by Mr. Valdivia and seconded by Ms. Marquez, and it passes 6-0.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
That concludes our staff and hearings for the evening. You will note that we still have a place for announcements, but announcements now are being pre-televised, and so there will be no need for council member announcements. Do want to recognize the passing of former First Lady Barbara Bush, and like to close this meeting in memory of former First Lady Barbara Bush. This meeting is adjourned until May 2nd here in the council chambers, 2018.
See you all next time.